Hello, knockups. Tanya TKO here. And today we're going to be talking about haters. But you can't talk about haters without mentioning lovers. So today we're going to talk about the difference between criticisms and critiques and everything in between and what you should do when someone quote unquote hates on you. Now, I'm actually doing my very first response video in years. Remember in the early days of YouTube when we used to do all of these response videos to one another? Back when YouTube used to be a community and the tagline was still broadcast yourself? Well, today I felt inspired to do a response video to Tyrese, of all people. He just came out of nowhere as a videographer. He just started posting all of these deep and prolific videos on Facebook, and I hope to goodness that it's not just some good chronic. We know he's out there in California. No, but seriously, I was inspired by a video that I saw this morning that he posted about haters. And part of the reason that I'm doing this follow-up video is because in the video he seemed like a really, really nice person, and he seemed like he was really in search of the truth, or at least open to different ideas about what truth is, because we're all in search of the truth, and we're all at different stages and different levels of awareness or consciousness, or just on different vibrations. And I wanted to share my take on it because this was actually something that I struggled with. In my book, Lessons from a Motherless Child, 10 Most Crucial Secrets I Learned About Love, Sex, and Self-Esteem, that I had to learn the hard way so that you don't have to. In that book, I got stuck on so the book is still being written, but I got stuck on this one particular part. And I had to do a lot of soul searching and a lot of meditating and pontificating in order to shift the idea and come to the level of awareness and understanding that I now have, and I wanted to share that with you. I'm gonna show you all a clip of his video in just a moment. But one thing that just really stood out to me about his video is that he was actually putting it out there because he didn't know who needed the message, and he didn't know into whose hand the message would lay. Well, a friend of mine shared the video. I saw it on my timeline. I watched the video. The video got into my hands. I'm going to share it with you all, and then I'm going to share my point of view and my take on it. He starts out the video saying that hate comes from a negative place and that misery loves company and a lot of other things. But when he got to this one point, I had to take pause because his POV needs just a little bit of just tweaking just a little bit, because he was really on point. But when it comes to this, I definitely want to put my forewarning out there, because he encourages people to ponder on what it is that the haters are saying and make necessary adjustments, etc., because the hate could actually make you a better person. And that's not quite it at all. So I'm going to play the clip for you. Watch that, and then we're going to be right back.
I've learned that insecure people will go above and beyond to create insecurities. Hurt people will go above and beyond to hurt people. But people go so far. When you're miserable and you're a negative person, you go very far to create misery and negativity in other people's lives. So I've learned to laugh. When you understand it in that capacity, I've learned to laugh at it. Some of it doesn't feel good to receive it, but I've learned to laugh at it because you understand that people have a job to do. Haters, being a hater is a full-time job. Being a miserable person who has a job to create misery for other people's lives is a full-time job. I mean, who wants to be unemployed? Everybody has a job. That's why we have good and we have evil. It is what it is. You run into somebody and they just so happens to be a hater, and they end up saying something to you that will actually change your life and make you a better person. Then you may not like the way they're saying it, but if they're saying something that's the truth that could actually impact you and make a difference, then you're supposed to remain a student of life, to learn, even if what you're learning is coming from a hater. Take the lesson from it. grow, mature, process, understand it, and then make the adjustments, and then you keep it moving.
Okay, so you got a basic gist of what it was that he was saying and where he was coming from. And you can really tell that he's coming from a place of love. So I'm doing this follow-up video from a place of love as well. And I really want to get the message to him. And the internet is an amazing place. I want you all to make sure that this video gets into Mr. Gibson's hands. So post a link in his video, send him a private message. If you know him, send the message over to him, and let's just, and let's start the conversation. Don't let it end here. So let's talk about hate and hateration. Where does hate come from? Is hate love? Is hate the opposite of love? Should we look at haters? Should we take it in? Should we not take it in? And I, as your big sister, Tanya TKO, I'm here to tell you, if you didn't know already, that people's outlook on life and the things that they project onto the outside is something that's coming from within. Whether somebody is complimenting you or criticizing you, it's all a gift. It's a gift because what this person is giving you is actually, it's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. They're giving you a gift from within them, a gift of their truth. And please understand that most people are doing the very best that they can with the circumstances and the information that they themselves have been given. So when somebody gives something to you, whether it's what you would consider hate, the criticism, or what you would consider love as the compliment, please know that this is a gift coming from them, about them. Let's say, for example, I'm going to give you a great example, because you all know from my Instagram that I love to bake, and you know from my website TKO Skin how I make my organic treats for you all. Well, nonetheless, it's like, let's say we're all cakes. And because I'm so sweet. All right, let's say that we're all cakes. And when we go out there into the world, what it is, when we interact with other people, we're actually giving them a slice of our cakes. We're giving them a slice of ourselves. At one point, Tyrese said that hurt people spread hurt out into the world, and miserable people spread misery out into the world. But also on the flip side, people who are very loving spread a lot of love out into the world. But what's the difference between the two? And I'm going to say nothing, because what we all are giving are little pieces of ourselves. So listen to this. When you meet a person, they actually give you a slice of themselves when they interact with you, when they tell you something, even people online. And you have to understand that what it is that they're giving you is not necessarily, is not about you at all. They're giving you the gift of themselves. So let's say they were a little cake. Let's say we're all like cakes. And what they give out to you is actually a little slice of themselves. It's not a slice of you. It's a slice of themselves that they are presenting for you. Because we're all mirrors. We're going to get into the mirror bit in a little while when we start talking about reflection. When somebody gives you a little piece of their cake, let's say you taste the cake, right? What you taste is, you taste all of the ingredients that went into making that cake. You taste the vanilla and the sugar, or the honeys and maple syrups, and you taste the flowers or the doughs or the flax seeds or whatever it is, the chocolate, whatever it is that goes into the cake. You taste that. So when you come into contact with a person, you're coming into contact with a cake that is in the process of continuing to be made. And where they are at that particular point in their lives is a result of all of the ingredients that were sprinkled into them along the way throughout their lives. I saw a video of a young woman who was cursing at her children. She called them little effers and one a little B word. I don't know if she was talking to a boy or a girl, but she was using profanity at her children. What you see right there is a reflection of something that, what you actually see, and maybe instead of the cake reference, we can use like a pot, because a pot, the things are still cooking. When you take off that lid, what you see are all of the ingredients boiling around inside that pot. She's calling her children little B's and MFs because somewhere in her life it was deemed as acceptable to call children little B's and MFs, and based on all of the ingredients that are in the pot, this is what you have. If you put different ingredients in, you'd have a different soup. If you understand what I mean. So all of us are different pots of soup, and all of our lives are so different based on birth order, our families, our genders, the experiences that we've had, the things that we've gone through. And so when we go out into the world, what we're doing is we're giving people little taste tests of our soup. And so if I can impress anything upon you, I want you to not take it personally, because it's really not about you at all. But what is about you? Here, let's get into the meat and potatoes of it. No pun intended. Well, maybe, because we're talking about soup. We're all on a journey of self-discovery. And it's really not so much for us to try to figure other people out. They have to figure out themselves for themselves. And how you use the interaction and the feedback of other people to make you a better person is by paying attention to your own feeling about what it is that they're telling you. And that is what you pay attention to. When someone says something to you that hurts you, irritates you, annoys you, angers you, or brings up any type of emotion on the inside, I want you to think about that and really pay attention. And that is what I want you to analyze. I want you to analyze your feeling, and I want you to analyze your reaction to it, your gut instinct and the things, and then how it makes your body and your cipher feel. Let's say, for example, someone came to me and was like, Tanya, you're a skinny crackhead and all this other stuff. You know, something like that would really have no, it would generate no feeling in me whatsoever, because there's no truth and there's no basis. You know how people say the truth hurts? There's no truth and there's no basis into them calling me skinny in any way, shape, or form. So like for you, you know, like let's say with Tyrese, if somebody was like, you light-skinned pretty bastard and all this other stuff, I mean, he knows he's not light-skinned. So someone calling him light is not going to have a painful effect on him. And even you, I mean, if you're skinny and someone's calling you fat, I mean, if you know that you're slim, like people who will come to my videos and be like, ew, look at you, you need to take off all of that makeup, your face is caked up with makeup. And you know, and then I'm like, hey, you know what? I mean, they don't know. I own and operate TKO Skin, organic handmade skincare products. And I don't know, honey, I have on no makeup, no foundation. I have on a little bit of blush, but no foundation, no primer, no none of that. This is my skin. And honey, oh, my skin is flawless. So yes, so when they say things like that to me, no honey, it doesn't bring up any pain. If anything, it brings up some pride, because I'm like, look, I'm doing something right. So I go on from there. And so if there were something, you know what, and for me, for some reason, it really bothers me. Like when I wear my wigs in the video, it really bothers me when people are like, oh, why are you wearing these wigs? You sell out this. I don't know. So this is something that I have to search within myself for. I'm in control of my feelings, and you're in control of you. Nobody else is responsible for your feelings. Nobody has the power and the ability to hurt you. You make the choice of whether or not you choose to feel hurt, of whether or not you choose to feel offended. And if these are choices that you're making, you have to look inside yourself and see, what is it that's reverberating around inside there that's causing that friction inside of you? Search for the parts of it that are grating on some form of your perception of truth. You know what? I gave an example earlier. Let me look this. Now, I gave an example earlier of if someone tells you that you're fat and you know that there's no semblance of any type of truth in there, it would just wash past you. But we all know that year after year, day after day, that there are people who are succumbing to sicknesses and illnesses trying to make themselves slimmer because people have either said that they're fat or there's a part of them inside that thinks that they're fat. If somebody tells a person that they're fat who is not fat, the only thing that matters and that gives that some truth is their own perception of themselves. I hope you understand what it is that I'm saying. So that the only way that it's able to permeate and have an effect is because of the life and the meaning that we give it inside of ourselves. Because year after year, there are people who are not fat, who succumb to people's interpretations of them as being fat only because there's a part of them inside that feels it too. So let's move on. I'm going to ask that when someone gives some hateration towards you, or what you feel as hateration, I want you to strip away all of the words, all of the everything that's coming from them, and dismiss all of that. Know that it is that what the people are saying out is a reflection of something that's going on inside of them, and the way you feel about it is a reflection of something that's going on inside of you. So what do? And so the part which caused me the conundrum, which it took me a lot of pontificating to figure out, and I'm going to share these jewels with you right now. Compliments. If you are to dismiss insults, then what do you do with compliments? Do you only listen to compliments and say, oh yeah, well the compliments are true. All that hate is not true. What I need you to do when it comes to compliments is realize that a compliment comes from within a person out to you, reflecting something that's going on inside this person. Whether the compliment is true or not true, it still reflects something about that person. So what do? You remember, and you have to stay and remain reflective and realize that what a person loves about you is really something that they're expressing a love deep inside of themselves, that they love about themselves, that they see reflecting in you. I'm going to give you an example that everyone can relate to. If you think about your biggest heartbreak may not have been the best looking, or the person who made the most money, or who had the best body, or who was the smartest. But what your biggest heartbreak had, which you coveted so much, was something that you wanted for yourself. Think about it. One, they were a reflection back to you about something inside of you, someplace that they were in their life, something that they had in their life, a family structure, a level of beauty, money, whatever it is that they had in their life that you loved and wanted and respected, because these were things and values that you hold true to you. Two, they reflected back to you who you wanted to be. They either emulated some characteristics that you wanted or wanted to be or aspired to be or saw in them and felt that you could get by proximity. Or three, you liked what it was that they made you feel about yourself on the inside, that you loved who it was that you were around them. So that what caused the heartbreak really wasn't so much this person leaving your life, but the part of you that you wanted and saw inside them that you thought that you could only get through them leaving your life, so that when they left you, a part of you that you projected onto them left too. So what do? And I talk about this in the heartbreak portion of my book. And if any of you out there are suffering from a broken heart now, I need you to write down on a piece of paper all of the things that it is that you thought you really loved about that person, that you really, 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 truly wanted to love about yourself, what you felt was missing from you. Did you love this person because they spoke so eloquently and there was a part of you that wanted eloquent speech, because it's really not about that person. Remember, we reflect onto people. Sometimes these people that we think we love are not even who we really think they are. It's our reflection onto who it is that we hope that they would be, which is really a reflection of us reflected onto them, so that who they really are sometimes doesn't even match up with who it is that you think they are. And then sometimes they leave before you find out the truth, and that causes the heartache. Or they stay and then the love fizzles out as you realize that it wasn't really them, and then you lose hope because what you really wanted never manifested in them, but it's in you all along. It's in you. And these are things that you can capture for yourself inside of you. Just like with the hate, when you feel the feeling on the inside and you have to investigate, where does that feeling come from? When you feel a certain set of yearning towards another person, what is it that you're yearning for? What is it that your being is calling out for from this person that you really had inside of you all along? And so you just have to cultivate that inside of you, because remember, it's never about the other person. How many of us dated people that we stayed in relationship with for a year, years, half a decade, decades, thinking that this person was somebody who they really were not? How could we have been so blind? You were blinded by your projection onto this person. So remember, it never really is about that person. Remember, we align ourselves with people who are complements, so that where we concave in, they convex out, and we balance each other up and off of one another. But this is, remember how we always talk about how you have to love yourself before you can love anybody else. Because if you try to project onto another person what does not exist inside of you, you'll never find love outside of you. So like some of these people who are projecting their hate out into the world, remember, just like the coveting that you gave onto a person whom you really didn't know and you had to find out who they were, just like that, the people who are projecting this out onto you are not projecting who you really are, they're projecting who they really are. And so when I talk about we have to find a way to let that person figure themselves out, and then find a way to figure ourselves out through our own reflection from the mirror of this person who's come into our lives. Now we also have to take the source. You know, too many of us are paying attention to what people whom we do not know are saying. There are some people in our lives who have a vested interest in our betterment. And then there are some people in our lives who may want to see our demise. You know, you have to take everything by case basis. You have to listen to your spirit. You have to listen to your being. You have to let it vibrate through you and wash through you like a sifter, so that you could sift out all of that which is not love. Because remember, I told you it all comes from one place, and if it is not love, it is not truth. So you have to sift it through your cipher. Sift it through your cipher. And there are some things that irritate us on the inside because they are so far away from truth that we can't resonate with it, and thus we repel it. Because opposites do not attract. You know, in love, we say opposites attract, but that's so not true. No psychological study has ever proven that opposites attract. Opposites repel. As a matter of fact, you may be curious about an opposite at first. But then once you get into your groove, once you get close enough to the electrical charge, it will repel you because you do not see your reflection in this other person. You will not be able to stay with a person into whom or onto whom you do not see a reflection of yourself. If a person is a complete opposite to you, you won't be able to stay with that person. Now, when we talk about concave and convex, yes, we will have opposite areas that overlap. They will overlap, and people can help you pick up the slack in certain areas. But if a person is a complete opposite, not a complement, you'll repel. So that's my whole video. I hope it made sense. You know, I went off into a whole other area I wasn't expecting to go into. You know, but make sure that the video gets into the hands of Tyrese. You know, he started making those videos on Facebook. I didn't even recognize him. Just be true to who it is that you are. And I think that this what this whole video is about. Be true to you. And everything that you do is a reflection of your own truth. Holla. So listen, I'm going to get out of here. You see my website right here, so come over to TanyaTKO.com. All of my links will be after the video. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and remember that's Tanya with what? Tony. Hug me. Hug me. Let's hug. I love you all. I love you all so very, very, very much. Now what? Go out there and love one another. But what? Most importantly, love yourself. Tanya TKO, and I'm out. Peace. And I hope to goodness that it's not just some good chronic. You know, we know he's out there in California.